have so much to do, and I've been having to regularly shuffle around my release plans as I think more about how it's best to organize and present everything I've been working on for this. I've realized there are some things I find it rather urgently worth mentioning before getting into other things, since there are some rather clear underpinning blatant lies and misrepresentations of my efforts and character that I seriously need to directly and thoroughly address before anything I say next gets abused to serve other people's agendas at my expense, against my consent, like it all too often does and has been for the past several years. Since privately communicating with Kimmy, and even also a bunch of her friends and other influencers at the same time, and repeating the same things time after time extremely clearly, even for years, just doesn't seem to go anywhere I want, and in fact only results in people increasingly brutally, viciously attempting to take advantage of me, manipulate me, and make a complete mockery of my existence. I'm seriously done trying more gentle approaches. It seems I really should have just done things this way a long time ago. This approach absolutely must and will be extremely effective to get Kimmy to seriously get in touch a lot more with the reality she's been trying to ignore for years, and realize how doomed she really is if she continues the way she has been with her insane disrespect towards me. Or thoroughly destroy her life in multiple regards for being an actually horrible, evil, narcissistic psychopath piece of garbage to her core, so extremely unacceptably to the point she would have proven she's truly, thoroughly, unconditionally irredeemable. At least to me. Which she really should recognize matters a lot more than she's been acting like it does. But as difficult of a time as I'm having, and as hurt as I am by everything, as I've been seeing things unfold, I'm also really not trying to rush and do stupid things that defeat the whole point I even care in the first place to do anything at all here. That'd be especially pathetic and stupid if coming from me, someone who has not hesitated many times in calling Kimmy and many of her associates and several other influencers stupid for treating me how they have for a long time now. Those kinds of things are clearly what people like them do. Definitely what they would have done if they were in my position. I imagine that's why so many of these trashy influencers are so serious about treating me with such insane contempt and disrespect. They can't imagine even just surviving, going through the kind of relentless, perpetual, sheer, hellish nightmare they've subjected me to and unapologetically made my experience of life become. Much less being able to thrive regardless, with complete lack of any need for their help or validation. Completely free of any control they've been viciously attempting to exert and maintain over my life through severe lies and narcissistic attitudes and behavior. Severe lack of maturity, of foresight, of decency. Not my style. Never was, never will be, no matter how much anyone wishes otherwise. It's not like I don't understand what kind of thought process these kinds of people are using. The problem is, They think I'm an idiot and I'm weaker than them and have a massive ego and I'm being really fake or living in denial. They take my kindness for weakness and are too arrogant and egotistical to understand the kind of person they're really dealing with. They think they can treat me like just another person and everything will be fine for them. Trying to label my value by my bank account balance or my social media following, currently or ever, is a big mistake. A big mistake. On multiple levels. For multiple reasons. And I sure as hell am not saying that in some stupid, pathetic, self-comforting, ego-stroking, self-deceiving way to make myself feel better about what I've been through, like most victims of narcissistic abuse do, as they run away from predators and consider it a win, just to cut out the piece of garbage violating them. I'm not running away from anyone or anything. Let me explain something real quick for the people that are really lost about what I'm saying. In life, there are extremely pathetic losers who would cower in fear from narcissists and consider it a win just to escape the vicious abuse cycles narcissists try to trap victims in endlessly. There are narcissists who are losers that delude themselves into thinking being a depressed, extremely selfish piece of garbage with a lot of money makes them a winner. And then there are real winners. Confidence based on self-delusion has a ceiling. Confidence based on an objectively unbreakable frame of reality, not so much. Another big mistake when dealing with me is thinking having a core value of refined pure bidirectional apprehension means I'm a pretentious, manipulative prick that thinks I'm clever because I know some fancy sounding words and have no difficulty with imparting wisdom on people who seem to need it quite badly. It seems I've really been dealing with some extremely severely mentally ill people that are so lost in their delusions, they've forgotten they live considerably out of touch with reality, especially when it comes to their perception of me. So I guess they're going to learn the hard way what it means that not everyone is a massive coward or an extremely selfish piece of trash. What encountering someone really real in this life looks like. I've actually gotten my YouTube channel verified now, so I can post videos longer than 15 minutes now. It really was seriously limiting for me to only be able to say stuff at most 15 minutes at a time before, especially when I'm seeing so much it seems I need to speak up about, and I don't want to split it up and risk people misrepresenting my reasoning or certain aspects of my character or the reality of what I'm doing while I work on different portions. Plus, some stuff I have to say just works so well together as like one release, which ends up needing to be longer than 15 minutes at a time. It was becoming quite stressful and confusing as to how I'd even split it up reasonably if I really had to. But that's not a problem anymore, which is good. I might have seriously had to ditch YouTube as a distribution platform if I couldn't manage to remove that restriction, which I feel would have been a shame. For now, I'm making sure I'm preparing to also distribute on at least my own infrastructure at some point, in case I get censored in general simply for speaking the truth. Because I have no shortage of experience being scandalously suppressed and censored by major platforms just for defending myself against abusive, lying pieces of garbage trying to ruin my life. Alright. So, I have a lot to say about the public figure angels, Kimmy. Or just Kimmy, as she goes by publicly. And I'm not just talking about right this moment, but given the wide array of grossly inaccurate misrepresentations of what I've been feeling, saying, and doing exactly that I've noticed over the years that I've been in Kimmy's life, I want to make it clear that whether it's now or later, there are some things my efforts have never been, are not, and will never be, or even an attempt at ever being or working towards being. This isn't necessarily a complete list, by the way, since I definitely will be taking the time to clearly refute any other serious misrepresentations of my character or efforts if I see good enough reason to. These things are just things that stand out the most in the years I've had to refute them time after time, because Kimmy clearly refuses to respect the reality, no matter how much I repeat myself, even if it's in front of many other considerably influential people and clearly not trying to avoid accountability. Well, I've seen multiple people refuse to respect the reality no matter how much I repeat myself, actually. But with the way Kimmy acts, she doesn't give me any good reason to believe she isn't largely involved in misrepresenting the reality herself, fully, knowingly, and intentionally. Ultimately, all the other influencers and other pieces of garbage acting so cruel, selfish, and predatory towards me, to whatever extent they have, wouldn't have even ever gotten to do the things they did to me, nearly to the extent they did, if at all, if Kimmy hadn't facilitated it massively with what she's been doing to me. So, considering she's the only real reason I ever felt the need to communicate any of the things I've had to in the first place, instead of just staying away from any kind of close connection with anyone and just working on my professional prospects on my own like I'd originally planned years ago, and especially considering her horrible lack of any healthy or even just direct communication with me in general for a long time now, which has literally made it as difficult, painful, and time-consuming as it could ever possibly be to prevent my soul from being brutally robbed from me, obviously completely against my consent, which Kimmy has massively benefited in multiple regards from inflicting on me while viciously lying about me and all the positive benefits she's extremely selfishly gained completely at my expense. She is most to blame for things reaching the point they have, and for them going down an extremely dark path, if that's what ends up happening. At least as far as I'll ever be concerned. And honestly, I don't really care what anyone else has to say about that. I should start by making it clear how I'm operating, since it's actually been how I've always been operating, but it seems people take my attempts to establish adequately firm boundaries and seriously focusing on an extremely serious goal I've had immense focus on achieving for the last several years as some kind of mental instability I'm flinging around, or some kind of indication of ulterior motives, instead of the reality of what I'm doing. As if it's just not possible that I actually have the dedication to focus on something seriously for a long time, be sincere about it, and not care if people misunderstand me when they really shouldn't be, and I know the approach I need to take to be taken seriously, and even have a real chance at going anywhere I want to go in this extremely screwed up modern society. I'm ready for the best. I'm ready for the worst. I am genuinely open to and hoping for the best, but I know better than to expect anything, and I'm preparing for the worst, or some variant that leads in that direction, especially more so the more Kimmy's track record of dealing with me indicates it should be what I should expect and prepare increasingly seriously for, no matter how great of lengths I've gone to make it clear that's not what I want, have ever wanted, or will ever be working towards. The best I'd consider to be the only actually positive result from my connection with Kimmy, which is Kimmy actually starting to show me the love and respect I want and deserve from her, communicating properly with me, directly, in a timely manner, without toxicity, without doing it out of pity or guilt or any other stupid reasons, with genuine feelings and intentions towards me, for the kind of connection I've repeatedly told her for years in front of many people, privately and publicly, that I've always wanted and have had to endure immense suffering for the last several years as I've been doing everything I can to work towards. The worst is how things have been increasingly upsettingly seeming like they'll inevitably end up going, no matter how severely in misalignment they are with what I want, have ever wanted, and will ever want. As in, like, I don't know, Kimmy officially starting to date someone else, or saying she's actually officially seriously pregnant, or married, or something insane that immediately clearly acts as intentional, decisive committing to going down an extremely dark path. And I mean, those aren't the only things that would ever achieve her decisively committing to going down an extremely dark path either. But she's somehow managed to avoid ever doing something quite that serious. Yet, at least. Although I'm getting seriously, increasingly concerned that she's actually getting closer and closer to crossing that line somehow. I'm already seriously concerned and see seriously concerning evidence that even if she hasn't officially announced certain quite seriously hurtful things, she's already done them behind my back, which is already horrible. On top of that, things literally only get worse and worse every day now, even with just how she acts publicly, seemingly exponentially almost. She's only seeming increasingly blatantly, deviously unapologetic about it all. This is not me hating on Kimmy. My focus on her isn't me just blindly bashing her in a rage for having put me in a position of giving her a lot of attention because of the intense feelings she's low-key shown for me time after time for years, and even to this day continues to. I'm focusing on talking about her and topics she inspires me to talk about because I've actually always wanted a really deep, genuine, frequently intimate, in-person life partnership with her. just like I've been saying repeatedly for years since the very beginning. It's intended to be understood that whenever I do things like refute myself seeing relevancy or assigning particular meaning towards something Kimmy's inspired me to talk about my perspective on, those kinds of statements broadly inherently include me finding a lack of relevancy or particular meaning or care for anyone or anything else doing or relating somehow to those things as well. This is really important because otherwise a lot of what I say sometimes can easily be misunderstood as if I'm going out of my way to be hating on Kimmy and how I speak about or to her. But, and this is really important, this is not me validating Kimmy's cruelty or looking for her to attempt to get me to validate it. It really seems in Kimmy's remarkable efforts to demonize and antagonize me at all costs so she can desperately try to validate her horribly fake and toxic attitude and behavior towards me for the past several years, that Kimmy really wants to go to great lengths to try to act like there's ever going to be a point where it's a good thing for me or anyone else if she intentionally tries to provoke negative reactions from me and try to convince me that it's for the best. She was so horrible to me for so long, and to this day, only more so. I know the truth. She is wrong for thinking this way. Completely wrong. And that's never going to change. Never. The more she tries to insist on being this way, the worse things will only get for her and anyone else supporting this toxicity and mental illness of hers. Since it seems her idea of maintaining her peace clearly involves massively violating mine, she's really going to have to understand things the hardest way possible, it seems. After it's already too late to prevent things going down an extremely dark path. I guess she still has a chance to start acting like a decent human being towards me before things go that way. For a little while longer. But I really don't know how much longer it's going to make any sense for me not to just actually unconditionally decide she's really pushed me too far and left me with no even remotely reasonable option but to be fully closed off to any positive outcome from this situation whatsoever and just full steam ahead, going down an extremely dark path in life. Let's put it this way. If it hasn't been very long since I've posted it, then she still has a real opportunity to really change her attitude and behavior towards me in a way that's actually for the better before it's really too late. But if it's been like weeks since I posted it and she still hasn't started officially dating me or even at least privately communicating directly with me and expressing affection and being actually loving and respectful towards me as she should be, yeah, it's already too late. And you can be absolutely certain that Kimmy's gross negligence, disrespect, distrust, and effectively nothing short of utmost relentless hatred towards me was made abundantly clear to me, and is the reason I will never be happy in life, no matter what happens, and I will have literally made it my life's purpose to ensure an extremely selfish, narcissist, psychopath piece of garbage that brutally, viciously, relentlessly, existentially tormented me extremely badly for many years, and seriously did everything in her power to try to control and completely destroy my life and cause me to unalive myself in real life because she was so unbelievably straight up pure evil, rightfully suffers the kind of extremely dark, horrible, humiliating early demise in real life that she was trying to extremely unjustly inflict on me. Either way, she's really going to start understanding why I told her so many times now that she should have already been speaking directly to me and treating me much better instead of this insanely stupid, toxic garbage she's doing, whether she or anyone else likes it or not. My kindness is not weakness. I'm so sick and tired of people thinking I'm lying about that, or that they can ignore it and it doesn't really matter. It matters, and not just a little bit. What the hell kind of completely trash attitude is this that so many people have shown me throughout my life? It's like, if I don't love and appreciate them for constantly being dishonest and toxic and cruel to me and be willing to go down to that pathetic level of existence myself, or I'm not happy to have massively suffered because of them as they try to ruin my reputation and life however they can or feel like, and I'm not fine with just completely cutting them out of my life and letting them say or do whatever unchecked at my expense on their terms as if I owe that to them after what they did to me, there's something wrong with me. Like, really now? I'd argue that people that do either of those kinds of things when faced with this kind of trash, they are the ones with something wrong with them. And the reality is that anyone with real knowledge of how the brain works and what a truly healthy mentality requires, they know I'm right. Someone trying to rob you of your self-respect is robbing you of your mental health if they succeed. And you're never going to magically gain it back by effectively letting them get away with what they did to you with more or less no real proper consequences for their actions, just like they wanted. They will have hurt you extremely badly and bullied you into believing that even if you can hurt them back and at least get your self-respect back, if not more than just that, you don't deserve to live a life you aren't secretly ashamed of and don't feel like trash about yourself because of, even if you shouldn't. I'm sure many people buy that garbage. Me? I don't think so. Which leads into me finding it rather pertinent to explicitly mention, this is not me revealing masochistic or sadistic tendencies of any kind. I certainly can understand how someone looking from the outside in can misinterpret all kinds of things from my behavior. Some might see it as masochistic. Some might see it as sadistic. Some might see it as both. I don't know how you see it. Honestly, I don't particularly care. I know what it really is. Neither. And if you seriously try to treat me like otherwise is at all the case, you're going to suffer. And if you're looking for someone to blame, blame yourself. Because I sure as hell don't assume responsibility for tiptoeing around your existence so you possibly, hopefully, don't read into my existence however the hell you feel like it. I don't care who you are. I don't derive sexual satisfaction or pleasure from hurting others or being hurt. At all. There are no exceptions. I can understand why people fetishize that stuff, and I won't say it's unhealthy for everyone else all the time, but that doesn't mean that's true for me too, or I ever have to join in, even if it ever might be somehow. And I won't. Yes, I certainly find a certain level of peace in getting rightful retribution in an escalating manner. The more escalating disrespect and cruelty I receive from any piece of garbage intentionally trying to bring me down and hold me back in life and rob me of my soul. But even that is not a sexual thing. It's a self-respect and self-love thing. Sure, you can love yourself sexually too, I guess, but this isn't that for me either. I've been lied about so badly behind the scenes that I certainly feel it's necessary to make it clear. This is not me overcompensating for anything, or coming from a place of guilt or shame or feeling forced by anyone. My anger is objectively justified anger that I understand the reasoning for very well and express authentically, but also with purpose and with focus on making sure it's directed at the right people first and foremost. I really don't know for certain what lies Kimmy might have been telling people, but I really hope for her sake that she hasn't been making outrageous, seriously, extremely damaging claims about me that she very much in reality knows are completely false, that she's kept more or less completely hidden from me. She was making this whole time behind the scenes. If she's going to go so low as to straight up fabricate insane supposed evidence of me doing extremely messed up stuff, or even just seriously claiming extremely damaging things with no real evidence and just abusing the hell out of people inclined to just believe her because it's coming out of her mouth, publicly or privately, like something much worse than just lying about me being a stalker when I give her attention she's in reality practically begged for multiple times. It's going to end up having to come out. Whether it's a full-blown public ordeal that at that point should rightfully completely destroy her life, or privately in interactions with me where she has to take accountability for how horrible she's been to me for a very long time in front of others in her life. And if she seriously wants to commit to such lies publicly, or just as a decisive way of living her life long term, even if she really wants to keep it out of the public eye and just privately live out effectively the consequences of those lies and more or less take zero real accountability and face zero real adequate practical consequences in her personal and professional life as a result of them, I'll just have to return the favor, manyfold, without mercy, doubts, or regrets. If she really wants to go that way, then we can both just go all out, lying with fabricated evidence and insane, extremely damaging claims as horribly about each other as possible to thoroughly destroy each other's public and private image to everyone, to the point neither of us can really be public figures as a career or even really function with anyone close to us publicly or privately. I can live with that. I can totally live with that without even thinking twice about it. Seriously. I mean, I've been forced to live as if I've been doing that already for so many years without even knowing exactly why, despite literally doing nothing actually wrong to Kimmy or anyone else. So I'm already completely used to it and prepared to thrive despite it. I've been so extremely kind and loving to Kimmy, genuinely, that I haven't even once lied about her to even slightly make her look bad. And I haven't been sneaking anyone else either. So nobody has any particularly good reason to believe I'm a horrible person. And that's going to show too. I'm extremely confident about it because I know nobody has even a shred of real evidence to prove otherwise. If anything, the immense baseline warmth overall that I've shown Kimmy, that won't just disappear genuinely just because it's who I am and how I feel. It makes her look a lot better than she's actually been to me up to this point, even just considering what I know for sure she's done based on public behavior I've witnessed. And it simultaneously makes me look a lot better and her look a lot worse if she's been secretly claiming some really outrageous, extremely false things about me that she still hasn't outright expressed publicly for me to address or somehow react to learning she's been claiming about me. I actually have serious skills that can make me highly professionally successful, even if Kimmy slandered me and fabricated so much crap or abused people's biases so badly that trying to make a living off my personality alone is impossible for me. But she'll ruin her own ability to do so in the process as well if she's going to continue that way. And she's not nearly so prepared to be extremely successful without her reputation. And then, well, let's just say I know how significant it'll be that I'll have a lot more money, valuable connections that favor me much more highly, and mental health left after it all than she will. And it's not going to be good for her at all. Nor should it be. Because as far as I'm concerned, she actually has something to do with all the times I've encountered setups and been robbed and almost killed and stuff in real life. If not directly, indirectly. Not to mention simply the fact that so many people online and offline seem to hate me for no good reason and believe so many massive lies about me, and it's been so insane I've just embraced attacking them as I see fit whenever I see Kimmy attacking me, simply because I assume there's some slander going on behind the scenes by association and they're knowingly willing participants. And I usually end up learning that Kimmy was in fact related somehow. So I don't even have to lie to make Kimmy look horrible if I just speak the truth of the kind of life I live, the full reality of the kinds of things I've had to deal with over the years because of Kimmy, and show even just a little evidence. And if we're really going there, I have a lot more than just a little, believe me. Hell, she's gotten so damn cocky time and time again that she herself has given me tons of irrefutable video evidence of her quite damningly pretentious and predatory attitude. Even just very recently. If I'm willing to lie, and believe me, I totally am, if she's gone to severe lows I never thought she would, and she's serious about committing to trying to live her life long term, insisting on being that way, she's really doomed then. She really messed up badly trying that kind of thing with someone genuinely as wonderful and powerful as me. I already confronted her about all this privately, in front of several of her friends and other people, well before reaching the point I'd record myself talking about it to the public. Kimmy seriously just continued to unapologetically make a complete mockery of my existence and screw around and become even more shameless in her toxicity towards me. I'm talking about her lying about something like me having violated her body in person. As I've seen certain strange interactions she's had, and also even just thinking about how insane it seems to me that her friends would seriously enable her behavior so much, I've been led to believe it's very possible she's went as far as to lie that I've sexually assaulted her or even raped her. I really don't know if she's that cruel and unhinged, but I find it hard to believe her friends went along with her being as abusive as she's been towards me by her simply saying or treating me like I'm a loser that deserves it. I've only ever met Kimmy in person once, and it was at a meetup in Toronto where several other people were present the entire time. In public. I never got even a second completely alone with Kimmy out of their sight. Kimmy never even once met with me privately, actually one-on-one, or even in any other kind of context, ever after that. We've never shared any kind of in-person sexual intimacy, ever. The most intimate thing we've ever done physically is hug at that meetup with several people watching, and so did several other people also hug her back then. Kimmy left that meetup going on the subway in the opposite direction to me and a group of a few other people who left the meetup taking the same subway I did. She was with some random dude that didn't even attend the meetup. Pretty sure she randomly swiped on him on some dating app in the middle of the meetup shortly after I tried to invite her to show me she's at all serious about connecting on a deeper level with me. She just lashed out and acted petty and tried to "thank you next" on me without even really trying, as if I have to suck up to her and say all the right things and just try to get her in bed for a night and let her move on, or she doesn't give a damn. I was the one that left that meetup hurt, but she's acting like she's the victim. What? Because I wouldn't validate her ego by letting her add me to her body count and let her be able to brag that I slept with her so she can control my life? Right. But I forgot. I'm the predatory piece of garbage in this situation, right? Totally. That's what being a decent human being gets you in this screwed up society. There isn't even one shred of real evidence I've ever even been alone with Kimmy, or even had any other meeting with her in person besides that one meetup in Toronto in public years ago. Not one shred. And I'm thoroughly confident about that. And everyone there witnessed that I obviously didn't violate Kimmy's body in public in front of all of them years ago. When I met Kimmy, she did come off rather strong and gave off the vibe that perhaps she wanted to sleep with me. But I didn't want to be presumptuous, and her behavior overall came off very strange to me. And I suspected she was under the influence of some kind of drug and or drunk, which meant her judgment was likely significantly impaired, and she might be inclined to make decisions she'd later regret. So, as hot as I knew her body was to me from the moment I first laid eyes on her, and as much as I would have liked to be physically intimate with her already even back then, I refused to do it. I knew I wanted more from my connection with her. I saw her as someone I genuinely wanted to spend my life with. I wanted her to see me as serious life partner material, not just another body. If she was so ready to be intimate with me like that, I can't imagine I would have been the first she's readily thrown herself at like that. It's not like I've ever been deluded as to think my body is anything outstanding, or my personality is so great a woman should drop her panties for me the first time she meets me. And even if it was, I still wanted something more with Kimmy, and I knew it from the beginning. I literally told her this stuff very clearly in private Discord DMs shortly after that meetup. I know she's seen it because she responded, and we had multiple discussions privately after that for months. So it's quite horrible if she's lied about me doing horrible things to her. And she really has no good excuse, because this is not me trying to make Kimmy feel insecure about her body or showing lack of desire for sexual intimacy with her. It's always been quite strange to me how Kimmy's made it seem publicly like every time I show I'm upset about her mixed signals and coldness towards me, it's like I'm upset because her body isn't that attractive to me or something. When I've never insulted her appearance or tried to make her feel bad about how she looks. In fact, I've only ever told her that she's beautiful and extremely attractive. I've literally called her the eternally, incomparably, perfectly voluptuous goddess of my wildest fantasies countless times, and repeatedly stated that it's not some fetish thing. It's just an expression to show how her physical beauty is genuinely unmatched in my eyes, which I completely still stand on and will forever feel exactly that way about her. I've only ever expressed being upset that she's sending me extremely mixed signals and acting extremely unhinged and toxic and mentally unstable when she deals with me, which I'd say is a rather reasonable attitude for anyone to have towards someone they really care about and are attracted to. Among her friend group, and even everyone else in the world, really, she's the only person I actually really want to give attention and affection to frequently, consistently, and abundantly. Honestly, everyone else I've ever known of existing and can even fathom existing is just so much less physically attractive to me than Kimmy. That alone is good enough reason to me to extremely seriously care, extremely deeply about the kind of connection we have. I really haven't been joking or exaggerating when I've said I fantasize about her daily, and she arouses me more than anyone or anything else ever has or will. The only even kind of complaint I have is that I prefer her with her natural hair color, but she seems to think she looks better blonde. But I mean, it's not like I'm gonna suddenly find her massively less attractive over that. Maybe she's just still dealing with trauma from someone she liked in the past, really liking blonde girls or something. She seems to have a similar issue with the blue eyes, which I also prefer her natural eye color over. So, to be completely honest, I've always preferred Korean women. It's not a racist thing. I don't think Koreans are objectively superior human beings or anything. It's just a personal preference. Everyone has their own personal preferences on what they find looks the hottest. I personally find the appearance of Korean women to be generally considerably more arousing than that of women of any other ethnicity. I never would have been so drawn to Kimmy to have went out of my way to go to downtown Toronto that day to meet her in person years ago, if otherwise was the case. I mean, I didn't really go to that meetup or downtown Toronto in general for anyone or anything else that day. I find Korean women most attractive naturally as they are, which Kimmy has never been an exception to in any way, and in fact has been the hottest in every way to me from the very beginning. The jaw surgery she had was completely unnecessary in my opinion, and I certainly don't want to see her get any other surgeries to modify how she looks either. I've literally never even once said or even implied otherwise at all. I've literally repeatedly told her throughout the years that she's the hottest person I can ever even fathom existing, and I stand by what I said. I never would have said it if I didn't mean it. And she's a huge damn liar if she wants to act like she didn't enjoy my comments flattering her about her appearance, because she definitely enjoyed it a lot and it definitely showed. But beyond just her incomparably sexy, perfect body, the personality I feel like she has deep down, behind the insane toxicity, I feel like I connect with that and she'd be far more pleasant and fulfilling to be around and be close to than anyone else I can ever imagine as well. Especially after everything I've proved to her I'd go through to see that side of her. Whether it really exists or not, I certainly crave knowing bad enough that I really need to find out or completely destroy her life trying. I'm seriously all in with this and I'm going to achieve one or the other no matter the cost to me. And believe me, when I say no matter the cost, I'm already ready to give up a lot. And I already expect I'd definitely have to if she's really gonna push me there. And I know I'll have no regrets regardless too. So I'm not afraid. I don't think I'd say her insane toxicity I've experienced relentlessly to this day is actually particularly interesting. I'd say it's just deeply disappointing more than anything, and it's certainly not something I consider pleasant. But there were a lot of circumstances surrounding how she's treated me for a long time and to this day, and a lot does change if she does end up seeing things differently enough to actually treat me properly before that's really permanently not even plausibly seriously an option for her. Regardless, there's actually literally absolutely nothing that anyone or anything can ever say or do that would even slightly change the essence of who I actually am or what I'm actually doing here. This is not me yapping or trying to manipulate anyone. So, I've already said before that what I'm saying isn't some nonsense or stupidity that should be ignored, but it's also not me being unhinged or manipulative. Of course, people that have been benefiting off of and enjoying watching me suffer as they try to suppress and sabotage my life because they're selfish and jealous narcissists are going to project and accuse me of trying to manipulate people. That doesn't make it true. The reality of my life circumstances speaks volumes louder than their yapping and manipulation they've been doing about me for years. What I'm saying is the truth. It's an accurate reflection of my life. I have no good reason to lie. Lying about anything I'm saying in any even remotely significant way would produce me a life that's both considerably different from what I actually want, as well as considerably incompatible with my existing life circumstances. I mean everything I'm saying. It doesn't matter what anyone says or does. It doesn't change. People fighting it only make things worse for themselves. I don't give a damn about what it'd cost me to get retribution on all those who have deeply hurt and wronged me if I don't get the kind of connection with Kimmy that I want and deserve. I really don't. Really. Like, I have to never date or be at all romantically or sexually involved with anyone for the rest of my life? No problem. I never really wanted that anyways if I can't have a proper connection with Kimmy. At that point, way too many extremely narcissistic scumbags have seriously hurt me way too badly for me to even want to seriously consider ever at all opening my heart up to humanity ever again. I'll show this hellish nightmare-wreaking dumpster fire called Earth what it really means to be ice cold. People think they know, but they still want friends and lovers. They don't really know really being cold. I have to keep everyone, even people that some might consider friends, at a massive distance and completely remove any human vulnerability from my connections with anyone, so Kimmy really suffers and can't exploit me even with the most connections she could ever have, even if she was connected like actual rulers of countries? No problem. I've already been fighting people of even that caliber hard as hell and was ready to make sacrifices like these to shatter out of the matrix anyways if I really had to. If Kimmy's really just going to make me genuinely, thoroughly, meticulously despise all of humanity, I'll just have to genuinely, thoroughly, meticulously make humanity despise her, and it will destroy her. And I'd be overjoyed to make it my life's purpose to ensure that at that point. Because I don't even need to think twice when I don't hesitate to unapologetically completely throw away opportunities Kimmy tries to slander me acting like I was just using her to get at money and fame all along. and I'm meticulously, thoroughly, unconditionally unwilling to sell my soul, I might never end up swimming in money? No problem. I always saw abundance of money as stupid and useless anyways, if it cost me the one thing that makes having it actually mean something and makes it actually a useful addition to one's life, rather than a false idol being worshipped like a god and draining all my time and energy and being the source of my biggest problems. More money, more problems is totally true if you sell your soul to get it. I'm no fool. Anyone can claim they aren't being manipulative and that they're a victim of some predatory lying scumbag. But how many people's lives deeply demonstrate the reality that it's actually impossible there's some manipulative scumbag? Far less, let me tell you. Far less. And realistically, you're probably smart enough that you already even knew that without me having to tell you or try to go to some great lengths to prove it to you. It really doesn't take a genius to figure it out. But beyond just not being a manipulative scumbag, this is not me pretending about anything at all. I've also already said I'm not role-playing here, which is certainly also completely true. But it's much deeper than just not putting on a facade of a completely different person or not being generally scummy. This isn't some half-hearted effort from me, at all. I genuinely mean everything I'm saying, genuinely, with every bit of my mind, heart, and soul. If Kimmy's not going to treat me properly in a timely manner, I'm seriously the worst of enemies against her and all of her associates. And I'm not talking about frenemies. It's not going to be an act. And it's not going to be lighthearted at all. When I talk about going down an extremely dark path in life, the totality of it is a lot darker than I can say on just about any platform without probably getting banned. But the reality doesn't change no matter how much people can't face the truth and don't want to hear it. When you go through extreme darkness and have people inflict extremely dark things on you and have extremely dark intentions towards you, you're a weakling and a coward if you aren't willing to show them how someone with real strength can handle and reciprocate darkness to make those kinds of people regret ever screwing around like that with you. And not, oh boo-hoo, let me wipe my tears with my $100 bills. Regret. Oh no. I mean regret that no amount of money, fame, drugs, sex, or anything else can ever really even come close to alleviating. Genuinely, existentially devastating regret. Regretting they were ever born. Regret. If Kimmy's not going to behave how she should, we're real enemies. Literally, actually, seriously, the worst of enemies in an extremely serious, perpetual, lethal, existential assault war to the literal death until one of us is actually physically deceased beyond capacity for resuscitation in real life. Enemies. I'm seriously talking about how going down an extremely dark path in life means Kimmy would have treated me so exceedingly horribly that I genuinely can, should, and most certainly will absolutely, unconditionally, meticulously, thoroughly destroy every aspect of her life and make her regret ever being born as she meets a horrible, brutal, humiliating early cessation of physical existence beyond any capacity of resuscitation in real life, no matter the cost. Or I'll die trying. I mean, that's what a real war with no other solutions really is. It's not a video game. It's not a play fight. It's not role playing. It's an extremely serious, fundamentally existential battle that only ends with a clear victor and a clear loser. And that doesn't particularly scare me. Kimmy should be the one scared with how horrible she's been and continues to be to me. I genuinely will have no mercy, no doubts, no regrets. No more second guessing. Kimmy's already been treating me like she's happy to be seriously fighting against me on this horrible level when I completely don't want or deserve that. And she's been acting really fake as if that's not been the case the last several years. I've been trying extremely hard not to fight or escalate into more brutal or destructive outcomes, but all Kimmy does is constantly pick fights with me and try to control me and destroy my reputation and mental health and spirit for her own extremely selfish gain. No. Hell no. This is unacceptable. This ends now. It won't matter what Kimmy or any of her friends or anyone else ever says or does later. I really won't care. I've already made my decision. Kimmy is going to treat me how I want and deserve, in a timely manner like I want and deserve, or I'm going to destroy her life brutally like she would have proven she deserves. I've threatened this many times in the past, and have only increasingly proven I'm serious about following through if she continues to disrespect me and treat me like a joke and viciously torment me how she has been the last several years. So this certainly should come as no surprise to Kimmy or any of her friends. I stand by what I've said here just as much as I stand by my statement about Kimmy's appearance. I wasn't half-hearted about that, and I'm not half-hearted about this either. Or anything else I'm seeing. Which brings me to just some general, really stupid claims or implications or attitudes I've had to deal with every time I try to confront people about the reality of things. And there's a lot. This is not me breaking up with Kimmy. I really don't know how I can rightfully even see us as together now or ever in the past or at any point in general ever where she hasn't even directly communicated with me for years. Seems pretty self-explanatory to me that you can't be dating someone who hasn't even directly communicated with you in over half a decade. And it's certainly not because I don't want her to talk to me. If we were together and we were having issues, I'd make sure to put her in line and show her she can't disrespect me and I don't want to ever leave her. And I'd do it without causing a massive scene. Not reach out publicly for attention and leave her disingenuously. Not only is it not my style, it would go against the whole reason I've ever cared to confront her in the first place. If I really wanted to just cut her out of my life or use her, I would have just found a way to diffuse her lies much more trivially long ago. Put a lot less effort, genuinely trying to connect emotionally with her, and would have massively focused on pursuing my professional prospects without her or anyone else's help, and just effectively been able to force her to shut up about her garbage gossiping and impersonation of me and her overall attempts to control my life with the power she would have been forced to acknowledge I'd command long ago with that. Also, I already had enough dirt on her to benefit professionally off starting drama with it long ago if I was after that kind of thing all along. It objectively makes completely no sense to believe I was ever trying to use her or I'm just trying to cut her out of my life, when I've tried so hard to build a genuine, meaningful, deep emotional connection with her for so many years and want to completely destroy her life so badly I'd sacrifice great costs to myself without any doubts or regrets if she really was being extremely fake and heartless towards me the whole time. which should make it abundantly obvious. This is not me rejecting Kimmy. It's pretty stupid to reject someone while openly pressuring them extremely to the point of almost forcing them to be more open to receiving love from you and giving love to you in a deep, transparent, consistent manner. I'm not even nearly that stupid by any stretch of the imagination. Only a liar would ever claim otherwise, and only someone immensely looking down on me would ever believe otherwise. And since I'm still clearly stating the reality that this doesn't mean Kimmy has endless time and chances to start treating me properly before she seriously pushes me down an extremely dark path, let's make sure I've made it very clear. This is not me moving on from Kimmy. I will never move on. Never. Period. Who the hell could and why the hell would you move on from the person who is undoubtedly at the very least the closest anyone could ever be to peak perfection of everything you ever looked for in a life partner that you put your last bit of faith in humanity on your connection with? Move on? What? How do you even move on from that? What even does that mean? Move on from having any real hope or desire to ever feel any real happiness or desire for meaningful human connection? So you're telling me to become a heartless, narcissistic piece of garbage? What, so you can then criticize me even further? Because I'm not that, and people already try to treat me like I am. So imagine if I actually was. Or are you saying I should just give up all hope in life in general and drown in a deep existential depression until I off myself from the unbearable, perpetual sheer misery of being far too hurt by life and far too severely tolerant of lacking self-respect to find the willpower to continue enduring the immense pain and suffering life would continue to be for me in a lot of ways, even if Kimmy wasn't being a complete piece of garbage to me? Yeah, no, I'll pass. I'll keep my integrity and self-respect and self-love and dignity and soul. Thanks. Anyone that wants to give me this trash advice, keep it to yourself. If you try inflicting it on me, know that I see what you're doing as blatant enemy behavior, and I do not appreciate and will not tolerate it, much less follow it. So if you were thinking of wasting your breath saying stupid things like that to me, don't. Just don't. And I seriously mean that, because this is not me pursuing romantic or sexual relations of any kind with any of Kimmy's associates or anyone else that isn't Kimmy. I'm thoroughly, meticulously, absolutely, unconditionally uninterested in and unwilling to even remotely consider at all ever dating or being at all romantically or sexually involved with anyone except Kimmy. That statement really doesn't get any more straightforward than that. I mean it. It's not changing. It's not up for negotiation. And debating it is just stupid, because you're just wrong, and that's it. There are no hidden messages here, and I'm not trying or willing to ever be convinced away from my position. I really don't care who you are or what reasoning you have. It's not good enough. No reasoning could ever be good enough. This is my heart and soul we're talking about here, not a goddamn math equation. As far as getting at random women, I'm not an idiot. What I'm doing here isn't exactly going to have women dropping their panties for me. If anything, most would judge me as creepy and really weird. And the ones that wouldn't be deterred from trying to get at me after seeing this whole thing, Well, they must be really weird in some probably not very pleasant or desirable way if such women even exist. Which, as far as I'm aware, they don't. Or maybe they do, and they clearly want to hide their existence or the reality of what they're doing so badly that I'm completely unaware, which is very much creepy and unattractive to me, and I'd never even remotely consider being with anyone like that. So if you're dumb enough to think I'm somehow hallucinating that what I'm doing here is going to be some kind of riz to get random women, here's your cue to realize you're delusional. I certainly don't like or trust any of Kimmy's associates or their friends either, as things are. They're only contributing to the problem, especially so if they're trying to act like I am, ever have been, or ever will be, or should be interested in any of them. I have absolutely no desire or willingness to ever even entertain the possibility of even considering caring about whether or not they have any serious desire or intent to ever be good to me at all anyways, if Kimmy's not going to start treating me properly in a timely manner. They're all absolutely unconditionally, meticulously my worst enemies, along with her, if that's really how she's really going to be. Like I said, if I'm pushed down an extremely dark path in life, I'm not going to be half-hearted about it. This, once again, is not up for debate or negotiation. It never was, and it never will be. Period. Although I will say, since I can see some of these disgustingly fake losers having been low-key trying quite hard to make me look and feel bad over the years, even just glancing over some of their content at times, since I don't give a damn to waste my time and energy actually seeing whatever they're doing beyond some very surface level observation and basically short glances of their social medias and stuff here and there a bit. It's remarkably insensitive, inconsiderate, and narcissistic to see how I know they're obviously, in reality, well aware I've suffered a brutal, hellish nightmare at the hands of Kimmy for over 7 years now, and instead of ever having any even at all sincere seeming direct communication with me and showing any kind of at all sincere good intent towards me, multiple of them have been coming off over time like they're blatantly, unapologetically trying to manipulate me in a state they undoubtedly perceive as weakened from the brutal, vicious abuse Kimmy's put me through. And they think I'm a moron and don't realize it doesn't even remotely make sense to believe they're doing anything except trying to prey on me in largely the same way and only try to validate Kimmy's behavior while leaving me even worse off after draining even more of my time and energy completely to my detriment. I'm genuinely going to be meticulously, absolutely, unconditionally closed off to being with even Kimmy as well, if she doesn't seriously want to treat me with adequate, objectively demonstrated and perceptible respect and love sufficient for the healthy life partnership that is absolutely, unconditionally, absolutely necessary for her to be willing and capable and desiring of having with me. If she doesn't want her and all of her associates, past, present, and future, to absolutely unconditionally end up meticulously the worst of enemies against me. I'm really not joking about going down an extremely dark path in life if she's really going to push me. And since that seems so unbelievable to people, I find it really important to also mention this is not me trying to get Kimmy to create more or any certain kind of ASMR or other content. Of course, it's quite exceedingly convenient for Kimmy to repeatedly act like and claim low-key that my efforts are out of desire to see her make certain content, instead of out of sincerely exactly what I've been saying there because of. It just so happens to give her reason to make more money making content at my expense, while also so conveniently giving her an excuse to keep her peace, while massively violating mine for her own selfish gain, as she acts like a victim in this whole thing. It appears Kimmy really seems to be under the impression that her ASMR is somehow outstandingly meaningful or helpful to me somehow, and also that it's particularly relevant to me what settings she uses for her mic setup, especially when she makes ASMR. That's all just completely wrong. Her ASMR has never been some miracle in my life. And it's never been particularly relevant to me what mic she uses, how many mics she uses, or what the settings for any of them are at any point in any content she makes, whether it's ASMR or not. Same goes for making or releasing any kind of content, ASMR or otherwise, at any kind of interval or frequency with any particular qualities or time of release. Look, don't get me wrong. I do really enjoy hearing her whisper, but I really enjoy hearing her talk normally too. And ultimately, I've always wanted to hear both very often, in person, in real life. Not just over the internet, and not just in content or in some kind of professional context. I also haven't ever given her any really good reason to believe otherwise. So maybe I'm even giving her a little too much benefit of the doubt when I say she's genuinely under a false impression about this stuff, and instead I'd say it's realistically much more likely that she's just fully consciously and intentionally lying about it to further benefit at my expense without giving a damn how negatively it impacts my life. Still, this is not me just wanting to cause drama and see fights. I don't see this whole thing as entertainment to me at all. And I've seriously always had genuine desires for a really deep personal relationship with Kimmy that's ultimately a life partnership with a lot of sexual intimacy between us in person on a frequent and regular basis. I'm not joking. It's basically an insult to me when people think I'm joking. Not that I imagine those people will be any less inclined to see things the way they do, just because they know it's an insult to me. But that doesn't change how I feel about it, and therefore what it is objectively. If people have to deal with drama in their lives and end up in fights and potentially their friendships or romantic relationships or marriages or whatever damaged or even destroyed because of me speaking the truth of how badly I'm being lied about and abused by many, that's not my fault and not my problem. Those scumbags shouldn't have lied about me and treated me like trash. That's just their karma, and I honestly don't feel bad or have any desire or willingness to go easy on anyone, no matter what damage to any kind of relations with anyone the truth here might cause, especially if Kimmy isn't going to treat me properly. And you'd best believe it, because This is not me fulfilling any contracts or conditions, working on any deals of any kind at all, in contradiction with my extremely firmly established integrity and the purpose I'm extremely clearly stating right as it is on the surface here. I don't owe anyone anything to get to where I've gotten. I will never want or need to make any deals that compromise my integrity at all. I haven't made any deals with anyone for anything as of me releasing this, and that includes even anything in line with my integrity, just so we're clear. Although I'm open to discussing things and coming to a solid agreement with Kimmy, like I've been saying, she's not communicating with me properly at all. And I'm definitely not and will never be okay with some weird, loose, really strange agreement with complete lack of direct two-way communication with her, where I'm randomly figuring out things she wants or expects of me whenever she feels like me finding out. Hell no! I would never do that to her, and I expect her to have the decency not to treat me like that either. Or we're really going to have a serious problem, and I'm going down an extremely dark path. Either Kimmy is actually seriously, unconditionally, irrefutably, publicly and privately, genuinely mine forever, and will actually treat me properly with the genuine, healthy respect and love I want and deserve, and have thoroughly proven objectively as such, and she must objectively prove it to me that she is capable and willing to start reciprocating it adequately in a timely manner, or I'll actually brutally, viciously, unapologetically, meticulously destroy her life completely at any cost, without any doubts or regrets whatsoever, ever, and never think twice or look back. And I absolutely mean that in the most enemy way possible if she's really going to push me there. As things are, I literally have no friends, no lover, no family, and no support system. And the primary reason by far and large for that is because I've committed the past several years of my life to a meaningful, genuine, public and private life partnership with Kimmy, and I've genuinely loved her and been all in and sincere in my efforts from the very beginning. But she's just lied extremely badly to me, slandered me, publicly and privately, taken advantage of me, and sabotaged my professional prospects and personal life extremely badly. She's went to great lengths over the past several years to try to control me extremely abusively and unfairly, and effectively right now appears to just want to make a complete mockery of my existence and abandon me or persist with this insane, abusive, vicious, suppressive control garbage over my life. After all that, like a massive narcissist, and doing effectively nothing short of low-key trying to push me to unalive myself for her peace. And the thing is, it's not just Kimmy. Nobody in my entire life I've ever gotten in any way significantly close to has ever ultimately done anything beneficial to or for me, is currently doing anything ultimately beneficial to or for me, or seems to have any serious or real desire or intent to do anything ultimately beneficial to or for me at any point in the future. At least certainly not something I actually consider beneficial, which is what actually matters or means anything good ever. As in something I actually want and is something I'd actually enjoy and feel happy because of. And things are like this despite me having extremely good communication with all of them the entire time they were in my life, making it abundantly clear with my words exactly what I want and how they could treat me decently to not come off like a massive scumbag piece of garbage and ultimately hurt me extremely badly. They all choose to be selfish as hell instead and hurt me however they wanted with blatant disregard for the negative effects it'd have on my life. They literally all chose that, without exception. And that's why I've already had to completely cut most of them out of my life without looking back. And I have zero desire or willingness to ever let them back in, even a little, literally no matter what. Literally no matter what. As for Kimmy and her associates, all of whom I'm seriously on the brink of straight up entering into an extremely serious, lethal war to the literal death against at any cost and ensuring Kimmy's life is brutally destroyed for what she would have done to me. Maybe people are doing things that have some way for me to benefit or offer some benefit they think I'd want or that they think they can force me to tolerate accepting. But this is just demonstrative of the extent of disrespect they truly have towards me. They've been facilitating me getting screwed over by Kimmy badly, extremely badly, and then try to add insult to injury by trying to offer robbing me of my soul as some kind of reward I should accept in return for enduring immense suffering that I never wanted or deserved for the past several years. Despite me repeatedly having stated I don't want and won't ever tolerate being treated this way. I don't want those things. I never have, I never will, and forcing me to tolerate accepting them is just never succeeding. Period. Things are seriously not okay at all the way they are, and they're only getting worse every day the way things have been going. They seriously will never be okay this way. I'm seriously going to end up going down an extremely dark path this way. Something that really upset me and concerned me way too much, to the point that there's no way I'm refraining any longer from escalating this matter publicly when considering Kimmy's even still now continued immense disrespect towards me. Not that long ago, she showed random strange cravings and concerningly joked that she's pregnant. If there's any truth to it, I don't know who it'd be with, or when it would have happened, or why she would have let it happen. I just know that this is definitely, absolutely unacceptable. I most certainly won't tolerate this on top of everything else where I'm already literally endlessly barraged with Kimmy lying extremely badly about me, slandering me, impersonating me, and facilitating others to do the same. She's been brutally, relentlessly tormenting me with her indecisiveness and fakeness and trying to benefit off constantly leaving me with a ton of anxiety and sadness and frustration I never wanted or needed or deserved in my life. I've been left completely alone in all around extremely brutal life circumstances, and with so much of my time and energy brutally drained on top of that, from dealing with her immense, relentless toxicity that she never shows me any proper respect or love at all for having handled extremely gracefully for years, and to this day still not having given up on her and already gone down an extremely dark path. I've literally, no exaggeration, been having regular panic attacks and mental breakdowns over this. Over and over. Day after day. And crying so much. And I certainly haven't kept it a secret from her. And what's she doing? Laughing and making a career out of increasingly brutally making a complete mockery of my existence, obviously completely to my detriment and with complete disregard for how it affects me extremely deeply in multiple extremely serious ways. Kimmy seriously needs to get an abortion immediately if she's pregnant. Immediately. I mean it. This is not a joke. I didn't ever want or need or owe her to deal with her having a child at any point in the past, and that most certainly hasn't changed now and won't ever change in the future. I'm not her or anyone else's slave, and I don't want to be and never will be. There's no way I'll ever allow anyone to gossip and lie and slander me into becoming their slave, whether or not they're trying to involve children into it somehow. And they're certainly not going to destroy my life and get away with it with that extremely scummy garbage either. If anyone ever thought otherwise, they objectively had no good reason to, and they certainly have another thing coming. And that's really not my fault, and I'm going to make absolutely certain that's ultimately clear to the world, no matter how badly anyone might try to lie and warp narratives and try to cover up the horrible things they've put me through and are still to this day inflicting on me. If Kimmy's pregnant, it sure as hell isn't my child, and there's no way Kimmy's going to cuck me and force me to raise any child that isn't mine. I actually don't ever want children with anyone, whether I have to raise them at all or not. I don't ever want to raise any children either, whether they're mine or not. And I'm going to make sure nothing and nobody ever tries to force either of these things on me at all and gets away with it either. Especially since I actually extremely strongly prefer sexual intimacy that carries literally absolutely zero risk of ever even possibly causing pregnancy. I've already elaborated many times before on my reasoning for why I never want children, even putting aside my preferences for sexual activities. It's not out of anger or bitterness, or sadness, or insecurity, or lack of resources, or any other pathetic or transient reason. I just genuinely don't find any appeal whatsoever in ever having or raising children. I don't want them with anyone. I've never wanted them with anyone. I can't ever see myself wanting them with anyone in the future. And I don't see desire or willingness, or lack thereof, to have children with anyone as any kind of indicator of my feelings for them at all. From my perspective, I would only ever find having children annoying and unpleasant, and they'd just be getting in the way of intimacy and quality time with my partner. I understand this isn't a normal perspective, but it's how I am. And always have been, and I'm quite certain always will be. And I've said all this many times before to Kimmy, and in even much more meticulous detail, and even in front of many others as well. I've always meant it, and I stand by it completely, just like everything else I'm saying here. Even if Kimmy isn't trying to force me to raise a child that isn't mine, it's already horrible if she already went and had one child behind my back and against my wishes and best interests. It'd clearly be too late to abort that child now. But if she's pregnant now, she has to abort it now. Now. Immediately. I don't care about her excuses. I really don't. Really. She needs to make it happen no matter what. She lied so badly to the public. She can lie to the doctor about how old it is or something if she has to. I don't think it'd ever reach that point, but even if it does, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. It's beyond an insult if she goes through with having a child she flaunted being pregnant with to me like this, and I clearly warned her numerous times privately and publicly not to have, which she obviously should have known I wouldn't want and wouldn't tolerate, especially after everything she's already put me through. She sort of said she got her period after that stream. She seriously concerned me that she's pregnant after I called her out privately. But at this point, it only makes sense to me not to trust anything she says publicly and to assume the worst in many cases, or at least extremely seriously prepare completely for it, and effectively considerably err on the side of caution to the maximum extent even remotely possible. Especially with something like this, and rightfully so, after how extremely severely she's lied to me and backstabbed me countless times, which was obviously all completely against my consent and completely to my detriment, which even to this day, she doesn't have any actually good reason for, and literally only flaunts enjoying being extremely toxic when I confront her about it. What a horrible attitude! She's really going to deserve having her life completely destroyed if she continues anywhere even close to being this way. And especially if she gets even worse like she has been lately. She already would have had her life destroyed if I didn't genuinely care about her so much and find her body so unbelievably attractive. But even that stuff has a very real limit. And she's seriously been pushing it recently to the point it's really seriously right at the edge of decisively going too far, whether she's pregnant or not. It's insane. Not in a good way. She acts like it's all fun and games. What in the bloody hell? This isn't fun or enjoyable to me. It just hurts extremely badly, and I thoroughly despise being treated this way. It literally makes me want to scream and cry every single day. I literally cry over this every single day. I'm not a toxic person, and I don't enjoy toxicity being inflicted on me at all. But Kimmy seems to just want to keep trying to slander me and misrepresent my character extremely badly and act like my genuine attraction to her body and caring for her as a human being is me having some kind of toxicity or enjoyment of others being toxic to me. What the hell? Public service announcement to the world. It isn't. It really isn't. It's what I'm saying it is with my words. Not some stupid garbage hallucination that conveniently benefits Kimmy's extremely severe mental illness. It's already extremely shady that Kimmy ever went those several months pretty much without any content creation or live streaming. That one time she talked about getting that completely unnecessary jaw surgery. I think she released a couple YouTube videos for her ASMR or something in that time, but that easily could have just been pre-recorded long before to help cover up what she was really doing. I swear, if Kimmy ever disappears or largely avoids live streaming for months again, especially starting within the next few months, when she would have developed a bump on her stomach that she wouldn't be able to hide if she really was pregnant, when she tormented me most recently with the most serious reason I've ever seen her show for me to be seriously concerned, she's straight up low-key flaunting actually being pregnant publicly. I literally don't care what her excuse is. I really don't. At all. I will absolutely, unconditionally assume it's because she's actually pregnant and that she's absolutely, unconditionally, immediately, decisively rejecting me and fully committed to heading down an extremely dark path as the worst of enemies against me, along with all of her associates. Without exception. I'm already seriously concerned and see seriously concerning reason to believe she secretly has one child with someone already, and used that time back then to hide it from the public and excuse it with the surgery. I certainly never wanted or needed any part of that, and I never approved of it or agreed to any deals that would force me to accept it either. I do not and should not take responsibility for such a child if it exists. One child behind my back would be horrible enough and should probably already be seen by me as her decisively committing to going down an extremely dark path. But I really don't know if such a child even really exists. And even if it does, if it's just one and it's already happened, then I guess it is what it is, and she can deal with it as her own responsibility, and she just has to accept it's her own fault and problem it ever happened. There clearly must have been much less brutally, blatantly insulting reasons for her having had such a child if it happened. But that can never even possibly happen again. Never. And if it hasn't happened before, then I'm never allowing it to happen even once. Especially with now even seeing extremely concerning reason that she's trying to do it, even with seriously warning me first, as if not going to great lengths to stop her means I validated it. If Kimmy is pregnant and doesn't get an abortion, even after I've made it this clear how horrible the path she'd be committing to heading down really is, that's actually genuinely and absolutely unconditionally unacceptable insult. Decisively committing to being the worst of enemies and pushing me down an extremely dark path in life unconditionally with no doubts or regrets ever. At least I certainly won't ever have any doubts or regrets, as I'd be destroying her life. Believe me, she'll definitely be drowning in massive regret, even if she doesn't show it at all. But it really will be too late at that point. That's far beyond just not perfect. It's already far from perfect if she has even one child. 2 just unconditionally becomes she wants to decisively show me I should and will be going down an extremely dark and destructive path in life completely unconditionally. And even if this would be the first child she's ever had, flaunting it how she has, in the circumstances she has, effectively achieves the exact same thing. And believe me, I'm never going to see that as romantic or something I need to be sensitive to and somehow should understand or accept. No. The way she was already acting for so long has been extremely cruel and unhinged. This is far beyond just cruel and unhinged now, even if she doesn't already have a child and isn't even pregnant either. Even in that case, she's at the very least even further escalating her extremely badly screwing around with my mind, heart, and soul like this, and extremely disgustingly enjoying, extremely badly existentially torturing and tormenting someone who couldn't be further from wanting, needing, or deserving it, as she tries to ruin my life, trying to endlessly demonize, alienate, and persecute me from any meaningful human connections and rob me of my professional prospects in game development that I've literally worked extremely hard daily since childhood to deserve. As things are, she's completely unjustly denied me any chance at anything even close to happiness or even peace in my life, which I certainly never wanted, needed, deserved, or consented to her doing. Ever. Which certainly isn't a secret from her. Even putting her in prison for life over what she would have done to me if she won't treat me properly isn't a punishment I'd ever be satisfied with. Not even close. Again, I haven't kept this a secret from her. Yet, she refuses to speak even a single word directly to me. Absolute zero direct communication. And she even seems to be deviously misrepresenting things publicly as if otherwise is the case. Oh, and let's not forget how she's extremely disingenuously trying to control and destroy my life further by trying to act like I should pathetically, desperately seek interacting with her in video games and suck up to her like I'm some pathetic loser piece of garbage that's at fault for her insane abuse and toxicity she's relentlessly inflicted on me the last several years and been extremely disgustingly facilitated by all of society and even the legal system in continuing to inflict on me. As if I need to desperately, pathetically beg her for her or anyone else's validation. I actually feel like screaming and crying every day over this. And it never seems to get better, no matter what I do. This is not okay. It will never be okay like this. Never. If Kimmy really is going to insult and hurt me like this, then we can really go down the extremely dark and destructive path unconditionally. Whether she's pregnant or not. I swear, on God, on everything, I've never been more serious about anything in my entire life. I mean it. I haven't been warning and threatening it over and over the last several years for no reason. And if she needs to learn the hard way after it's really too late, she's still going to learn whether she likes it or not, no matter the cost to me. I swear it on my life, on everything, and she seriously should have known. And it's a blatant, horrible lie if she tries to claim that's what I've always wanted. It most certainly is not. But if she's going to be such a horrible person, embrace leaving me with no even remotely satisfying, fulfilling, or worthwhile way to live my life without her, and then deny me of the relationship with her that I so clearly want and objectively deserve? What the hell does she think is gonna happen? Really, I'm gonna move on? What the hell? If she pushes me down an extremely dark path, she was the one that wanted it. Her. Not me. I never wanted things to end up that way at all. And I went above and beyond to prove it objectively. Claiming she felt forced by others isn't an excuse either. She should care enough not to let herself get forced to do things like that. And she should be willing to take the necessary corrective actions if they tried or she herself made a serious mistake thinking things would turn out differently than they are. If she's seriously going to try to justify following through with absolutely, unconditionally unacceptable insults towards me and claim she was forced, or I should see it as romantic, or be sensitive or understanding to it somehow, especially despite the fact that I went above and beyond with sensitivity and understanding in the right way to prevent ending up in such an extremely dark place, then she's already establishing the precedent that she expects me to tolerate literally boundless disrespect and hurt and abuse and see it as something acceptable. Which it most certainly is not. Absolutely, definitely not. And I've never done anything that should have left her with any impression otherwise at all. I meticulously, absolutely, unconditionally refuse to let my boundaries get violated that severely, ever, by anyone, for any reason, period. And yes, that includes even Kimmy. It doesn't matter how precious she is to me. She's that precious despite how she's treated me so far, because I believe she can ultimately make my life better if I help her heal and grow as a person in a positive direction before she does something really too horrible to me that she really can't ever take back. And I'll really never be able to come anywhere close to forgiving her for, no matter what she or anyone else ever says or does. Not because I'm looking for someone to take advantage of me. I have never been and will never be looking for anyone to take advantage of me. Yet again, anyone in any way communicating otherwise is a liar and is not me or operating in my best interests or with my consent at all. Regardless of anything else, I'm seriously never moving on from Kimmy, and I'm seriously never being simply friends or friends with benefits with her. I mean it. I didn't try so hard for so long just to end up throwing it all away for less than nothing, or ending up with some shallow garbage I could have basically had with ridiculously less effort and suffering than I've endured because of my feelings for Kimmy. I really want to make sure I've made it abundantly clear what the reality is and how badly people are lying if they're claiming anything otherwise to what I'm saying. I've never been trying to hide any of these things either, and I've made that extremely clear, abundantly clear. So it's not my fault at all if people viciously refuse to respect me when I speak. They will suffer the consequences of their stupid, insane disrespect. It doesn't matter who they are. There are no exceptions, and there never was and never will be. I don't even have words to describe how horrible it is that it's like Kimmy's taking all her anger over all the abusive, toxic, manipulative losers that she's dated and slept with over time out on me. when I literally couldn't be further from that kind of person and couldn't be further from deserving being treated this way by anyone, especially her. This whole thing is very much extremely personal as far as I'll ever be concerned. And I take it extremely personally whether Kimmy or anyone else does or not, or wants me to or not. And that's never changing either. I'm really not trying to jump to conclusions here, but I really want to make sure it's clear how serious I really am about things. If Kimmy just doesn't feel that way about me, then sure, I guess I can't argue that she should. I might as well not bother. I don't want to be with someone that doesn't really love or respect me, even though I clearly proved I deserve it. But if that's really how things are, then I just don't feel like having any mercy, pity, sympathy, or doubts or regrets as I head down an extremely dark path in life because of what she would have done to me. Because I'm seriously not going to fight with someone who should be madly in love with me, that they should feel that way. I'm actually thoroughly undesiring of and unconditionally unwilling to tolerate a work-only relationship with Kimmy. She should be genuinely happy about and openly willing to embrace the life partnership that I've always been working towards and that she should have been working towards this whole time too. She should be approaching this with genuine, pure intentions and warm feelings, with complete desire, intent, ability, and execution on communicating with me directly and showing me real warmth without extremely mixed feelings and without extremely mixed signal garbage. If Kimmy wants to seriously, clearly, directly discuss reasonable desires she has for being in a relationship with me, that's not a debate or negotiation. That's just healthy communication and expressing her feelings and desires and needs. I don't know exactly what she might say or if I'd necessarily be okay with everything, but I also don't know if there's anything I wouldn't be okay with either. And she's just closing herself off to either of us ever really finding out the way she's behaving. If she expects me to have dealt with all the vicious, heartless behavior and pain she's inflicted on me for years, and even to this day her still trying to control and sabotage my life relentlessly, with complete lack of any real respect or visible love or trust or caring about my consent or feelings or effectively really even my life in general at all, not only overcoming everything she's already put me through, but then now having to deal with feeling extremely hurt and disturbed and upset and working completely on my own on things I never needed or was trying to get her help for anyways, but without even any bit of real and adequate comfort or emotional support from her. Effectively acting like literally nothing short of my worst enemy, trying to blatantly, unapologetically, viciously, narcissistically control and abuse me for the rest of my life, and trying to force me to see just walking away from her and internalizing that pain for the rest of my life as some kind of solace or peace or reward from it all. Yeah, no. Hell no. That's not happening. It's really not. Ever. There's no world where I'm even remotely at peace ever again, and I'm not either in a proper relationship with Kimmy or have brutally, thoroughly, meticulously destroyed her life and irrefutably, decisively won the extremely brutal, relentless existential war she's been waging against me basically since she entered my life. And believe me, that really is not, never was, and never will be up for negotiation. And since Kimmy's really distant random comments in her content that I know she says with concealed intentions to try to control me by knowingly communicating things underhandedly in relation to her connection with me, certainly aren't even close to what I'd consider adequate emotional support, or even really emotional support at all, I really want to make sure it's clear. This is not me crying out for help or showing desire or willingness to tolerate accepting help, especially professionally, from Kimmy or any of her associates, or really anyone else. I have especially good reason to never in my life, no matter what, ever trust Kimmy or any of her associates, professionally or otherwise, if Kimmy really will never have the kind of connection with me that I want and deserve to have with her. And in that case, I'm seriously not looking for or willing to accept help from any of them, or anyone else even, as a result of this situation, or whatever connection Kimmy wants to think we have. I want it abundantly clear that my efforts towards Kimmy really are, and always have been, after only one thing. And if I don't get that, I'm going well out of my way and enduring whatever hardships necessary to thoroughly situate myself to most brutally, unapologetically, successfully, thoroughly, meticulously, completely destroy her life for the extremely deeply sad, angry, upset, disturbed, disappointed state her decisive final decision to reject the life partnership I've always wanted with her really will forever be to me. I planned from the beginning, considering it as if to be inevitable I'd have to endeavor in my professional prospects alone anyways, so it's not like I'm unprepared or unequipped to handle it adequately and succeed without anyone's help if that's really how I have to do it. I've worked extremely hard to become extremely skilled professionally at the necessary skills to excel in my chosen professional fields, even without anyone's help. My skill set is one where I provide the equivalent of immense monetary value to myself, and I know what I'm worth. So I'm confident, and I'll continue improving every day and work as hard as I need to in order to succeed. I've known it for many years now already. I mean, it's abundantly clear to me that nothing and nobody will help me, and I have to do everything helping myself. The legal system is clearly one massive, extremely severe, cruel joke. I've already seen how it blatantly punished me and rewarded Kimmy and others for the brutal, vicious, relentless torment and cruelty they inflicted upon me extremely unjustly and undeservedly. And it certainly wasn't with my consent. I've already seen how everyone judges me extremely severely, harshly, as mentally ill and stupid for standing up for myself against the insane toxicity and unhinged narcissistic abuse I face daily, obviously completely against my consent and completely at my expense. I've already seen how corporations, large and small alike, only seek to suppress and sabotage my efforts to bring to light the reality of the matter. Society has failed me. Humanity has failed me. Capitalism has failed me. The world has failed me. And it really feels like even love has failed me. It's literally me against the world, and everyone and everything expects me to just shut up and put a fake smile on my face and pretend everything is okay. When in reality, it literally couldn't be further from it. Or to just end my own life like a pathetic loser and let everyone slander me to hell and make even my death extremely shameful in every at all really meaningful way. Neither of those things are ever happening. Believe me. There are a lot of things I've felt compelling reason to explicitly refute here, but what it all comes down to, it's really not that complicated. This is not me trying to influence or achieve any change in any aspect of any scope of anyone or anything's existence at any point in time without first and foremost, utmost importantly, absolutely unconditional, meticulous focus on success at the kind of life partnership I've been saying here that I deserve and have always wanted with Kimmy. There are so many really stupid and even often random or at least random to me, things I could refute, seemingly endlessly. I can't even describe with words how extremely upset I feel, even just thinking about what lies people might come up with next after I make even an effort like this to make the reality clear. Like, the first time I was trying to really get a decisive stance on things from Kimmy, when she had really started acting hurtful and coming off like she was seriously trying to make it clear I really shouldn't ever have even the slightest speck of hope that communication I didn't cause a public scene with could ever go anywhere good for me, I told her I was going to start making the whole archive of my emails to her and a growing list of her associates and third-party witnesses over the years public. Right afterwards, out of nowhere, suddenly, she started talking about stopping eating meat, going vegetarian or vegan or something. She ended up actually supposedly going pescatarian for like a couple months. Her attitude and behavior was so hurtful, and I could just sense there was some insane criminal impersonation of me, gossip about me, something for sure going on behind my back that would have completely misrepresented why I would have been leaking that archive if I did it right away back then. Since I could see Kimmy was trying to set up things to facilitate slandering me and inflicting further defamation of character on me if I just followed through immediately, I stayed silent for a while. And eventually a situation arose where publicly leaking that archive ended up proving to be appropriate. And I'd even argue necessary, which is when I ended up doing so. That was a whole thing that ultimately just gave me even more evidence of how toxic and narcissistic she's been towards me when I ultimately saw it was necessary for me to start speaking again, or she would actually just steamroll over my existence like I literally was dead. And crazily enough, for a quite disturbing amount of time afterwards, I saw her and her friends literally trying to call me a ghost and act like I was literally dead and someone else was on my email account sending the emails and trying to achieve ulterior motives or something. Like, unbelievable. Like, I seriously have what I'd consider plenty adequate evidence to support the assertion that Kimmy and her friends seriously were hoping for and expecting me to literally be dead by now. Like, in real life, if that wasn't already clear enough. Because of what they've put me through. Either dead or close to it. Like, some serious drug addict or alcoholic, homeless and barely actually conscious or functional ever. Anyways, the point is, I've never even once so much as implied I have any problem at all with Kimmy eating meat. I certainly eat meat myself, and I certainly do not, have never, and will never have any particular interest in or desire for Kimmy or myself or anyone else even really to stop eating meat. Yet, for some extremely strange reason, this was an extremely disturbingly, somehow relevant thing that held me back and led to yet another time I literally was almost murdered in real life. During that time, I had to silently observe the public behavior of Kimmy and her friends, so all my efforts over the years wouldn't have been warped and sabotaged. But I don't want to get off the point here. The point is, any and all such random things are completely irrelevant to anything I'm trying to influence or achieve here. Completely irrelevant. I don't care about Kimmy or anyone else stopping eating meat. I don't care if anyone dyes their hair or changes their hair color or nails or makeup or wears anything particular or hangs out with certain people or does whatever random things in their content or any of this kind of stuff. Like I said, there are practically infinite lies people could come up with and attempt to fabricate as the reasoning for my efforts. They are all false. completely false. Completely. Without exception. Literally without any exceptions whatsoever. People are literally criminally impersonating me and slandering me privately and publicly, gossiping about me, and doing extremely messed up garbage, trying to sabotage my life. There's no way I'll ever tolerate it. Nor should I. This is actually after one thing and one thing only. A genuine, loving, respectful, deep, personal, private and public life partnership with Kimmy. One where we are very close and frequently sexually intimate with each other in person. Not so much publicly, I'm talking about privately, not, I'm not trying to but yeah, very frequently. And I mean, intimate in general too. It doesn't necessarily have to be super sexual all the time, although I certainly wouldn't tolerate it not being sexual often, with how hot she should know she's always been and will always be to me. I went to great lengths to make it abundantly clear to Kimmy and her friends, in front of other influencers not really part of her friend group even, that I want to make sure nobody can say I went and backstabbed Kimmy, or it's my fault she didn't warm up to me adequately, properly, with direct communication and openness, expressing clearly that she isn't someone I should seriously see as a severely unacceptably antagonistic enemy before it's seriously too late. I'm certainly not lazing about taking my sweet time to release anything. But I'm seriously not rushing these either. I don't want to release anything prematurely. Not because I'm scared, because I know I've been sincere all along, and I'm not trying to sabotage myself, because I love and respect myself, as I should. I'm left in the dark about things extremely badly, no matter how much I wish I wasn't, and no matter how much I think about things. It seems there's always layers upon layers of lies and garbage, toxic fakeness that's been tormenting me this way for so many years. The extremely deep pain I feel every single day tells me I should be extremely careful with how I go about things here. I know how much I'm hurting over this, even if everyone else doesn't believe me or really care. I won't stop caring about myself just because nobody else actually cares about me. I didn't survive this far in life after all the hellish nightmare so many people have put me through, only to throw away my own value I assign to my existence. Because Kimmy certainly isn't the only person in my life that's treated me like complete garbage when I never deserved or wanted or needed that. And if you're seriously going to try to judge me for giving an ultimatum type thing here, you can shut up and keep it to yourself, because you're an idiot and I don't give a damn what you think. Did Kimmy give a damn how brutal, vicious, heartless, and cruel she's been to me, and how insanely controlling and fake she's acted for years towards me and tried to ruin my life with that attitude and behavior? Did all the people bullying me and making it worse, calling me all kinds of horrible things, care? Clearly not. Clearly no one cared. Clearly, all Kimmy does is repeatedly, time and time again, have stupid existential crises on stream, or complain that she feels sad, or has trouble sleeping, or is really stressed and overwhelmed, or some other stupid excuse, and throws herself pity parties, and is passive aggressive, and all this crap, to justify treating me like complete trash, and try to use me as a scapegoat for her abuse and mental illness and toxicity when things get tough. To try to force me into a position where she thinks she can endlessly control my life with lies and toxicity I never wanted or needed or deserved to have it inflicted upon me. I've given her many chances for the longest time to realize what she's doing and stop taking my kindness for weakness. But she clearly doesn't really care and doesn't have even the slightest speck of real respect for me with how I've been so kind and patient, giving her so many chances to be better to me. So that's ending now. Right now. The chances are over. She treats me properly, or I rightfully, mercilessly, unapologetically, meticulously destroy her life without any doubts or regrets, and I never think twice or look back ever again. I'm staying quite calm while recording this, but every single day I'm having mental breakdowns over this. And I want to scream and cry all day. It's been like this for years, no matter what I do. And it's only been getting worse lately. Much worse. And I certainly haven't kept it a secret from Kimmy. But instead of treating me with any decency, she just continues to lie and make excuse after excuse to continue treating me like complete garbage and act even more shameless and unapologetically cruel and screwed up towards me? As if that's a solution? Really? She should be beyond just thankful. Genuinely beyond just thankful. She even still has a chance to make things right. Not look at me like a lying, pretentious piece of garbage loser that should or will ever tolerate being encouraged or pushed or forced to move on and validate her lies that her rejecting me is not that deep. Or tolerate being with her on whatever terms she feels like dictating to me, as if I'm a slave or a fraud or loser unworthy of much better treatment. I'm seriously not going to put up anymore with all the garbage people have been trying to shove down my throat all this time. Kimmy's been thrashing me around, taking advantage of literally nobody giving a damn in the slightest about me, while I've been getting relentlessly, viciously attacked by multiple narcissists and literally criminals slandering and impersonating me privately and publicly, among other things, time after time, for years on end. Literally nothing anyone or anything can ever say or do will ever convince me otherwise, or force me to ignore or deny the reality for what it is. Nor should they even ever try. Once again, this is not up for negotiation, and you're just dumb if you try to debate, because you're just wrong. This is the truth, and I'm right about it all, no matter how much it hurts your ego or anything else. It's the truth. That's reality. I'm not right because I want to be right. I'm right because I am right. And I have abundant, objective evidence to prove it. I don't become wrong because you want me to be wrong. And you're never going to bully or manipulate me into mental illness or cowardice. End of debate. You already lost. More is coming here. I have other things I have to do too, because my existence doesn't revolve around Kimmy and other people hurting me and lying about me. I won't advertise it here because I really want to make sure it's abundantly clear. I'm unwilling to let any kind of help be forced on me, especially by people I know are watching and have proven time after time they are working against my desires and should be seen by me as acting like serious enemies towards me as things are. But I certainly have a lot more to say, and I certainly consider speaking up extremely important to my life as a whole, for multiple reasons.